How's it going? I have so many updates to give you guys. I know it's only been like a week, maybe two, since my last video, my last upload. I still have so many things that have happened, and I'm so excited. So, for starters, in the last video, we were working towards our 100,000 word count goal, and I think we had only got to like 96, 97, something like that, 1,000 words. Never fear. Part of the reason I haven't made a video is I have been deep in the writing cave, and we officially have hit 100,000 words on Soul Resonance. Oh my god. It was so amazing, so exciting to finally hit that. This goal that I've been working towards for like a year and a half at this point. I started the first draft of Soul Resonance, not planning Soul Resonance, but I started the first draft of Soul Resonance in March of 2025. So I guess really not a year and a half. It's like a year and a couple months. But so yeah, about a year ago, I started the draft of Soul Resonance, and I always knew that that was my like final word count goal that I wanted. And we are officially there through 4 drafts of this novel, of this book, and we finally made it to our word count goal. So it is off with my husband right now, who's doing some developmental editing on it for me. And then when he's done with that, we'll kind of go back in, pick up some of the editing stuff that he had, make the changes and things that we need. And then at that point, we will probably be ready to begin our queries. I have a list. It's not a very long list. It's kind of a short list right now because I haven't been focusing on it a lot, of some agents who've recently opened their submissions that I want to submit to. I think some of the research that I've been doing and some of the things that they're interested in, I think Soul Resonance is going to be a really good fit for them, and I think they're really going to like it. So we'll see when we get to that point. We'll see what we're doing. I've also started the first draft of Soul Shadows. I have the whole thing outlined with my chapter outline, which is like, we've talked about it. It's less of an actual outline and more of like a general vibe of each chapter. But we're going on what I like to call, not my first draft, but I like to call it my old decrepit Chihuahua draft. That's what I always start with, in that I like get a vibe for every single chapter and I just start kind of going. And I call it my old decrepit Chihuahua draft because if you've ever seen an old decrepit Chihuahua, there you go. Like it's the same, it's the same thing. It's really shaky. It is terrifying to look at, and it doesn't really make sense on how it's alive. But it is. So that's what we're working on with Soul Shadows right now. I mean, we only have like 4,000 words written, and it's like a prologue and chapter 1 and like half of chapter 2. There's not a lot happening with that. I was supposed to, and I had decided to, that I was going to spend not a lot of time, but I was going to, really try to start getting into drafting and writing it. And I also started reading Hurricane Wars by Thea Guzan at the same time. Listen, when I'm not actively writing, my reading skyrockets, okay? I'm chewing through books. And it's a problem because it takes time away from drafting, which I guess is not necessarily a bad thing, because the more you read, the better you write, whatever. It's a whole thing. So I started last week on Monday. I started A Forgery of Fate by Elizabeth Lim. And if you've seen my recent Instagram reel or recent short at the time of me posting this video, you will know that I read that book in 7 hours, like literally a day. I devoured that book. Okay, if you're looking for a Beauty and the Beast mixed with East Asian folklore book to read, go read Forgery of Fate. I promise you will not be upset about it. Like, you will not be disappointed. It was so just incredible. Okay. And then I started reading Hurricane Wars because after reading A Forgery of Fate, I only had 2 books left on my physical TBR to read before my husband and I moved. Okay. And so it was Forgery of Fate, Hurricane Wars, and then the sequel to Hurricane Wars, Monsoon Rising. So I read Forgery of Fate, amazing, 1,000 out of 10, so good. Then I started Hurricane Wars, and it took me about 2 days to read Hurricane Wars. Um, an amazing book. I actually don't know why it took me this long to read it. Like, I got it when shortly after it came out, when it was like huge on Book Talk. I got it, but I just never read it. That was a failure on my part, honestly. I should have read it sooner. It was so, so, so good. I loved it. And then immediately after, like within 10 minutes of finishing Hurricane Wars, I picked up Monsoon Rising because I already owned it. So I was like, I'm not going to give myself a break. I'm just going to go straight into it. And Monsoon Rising was good. Okay, don't get me wrong. It was good. I will say that a lot of the enemies to lovers romance that we had built up in Hurricane Wars that was just so like delicious and like slow burny and wonderful and amazing, I feel like was severely undercut in Monsoon Rising by Taliesin, like every other interaction being like, this is gonna hurt more when I betray him. Like, girl, we get it. You know, and I'm like, I get what Thea was trying to do to like build up this like conflict with Taliesin being like, do I want to support my like people, or do I want to like ally myself with you know my husband or like whatever. Like, okay, I get what she was trying to do, this like internal conflict thing. But I feel like we spent so much, pretty much all of Hurricane Wars, building this slow burn enemies to lovers romance and getting like a really great payoff of it. I feel like towards the end of Hurricane Wars, whenever like they actually got married and she's like, I think I'm slowly falling for him. And it was like a whole thing. Okay. And I was like, okay, great. We're finally reaching the lovers stage of enemies to lovers, like slow burning, actual, like true slow burn, right? We get to the end of book 1 and we're like, oh my God, now we're entering the lovers stage. And then we get to Monsoon Rising and it's like, yeah, we're married and yeah, sure, we're like in love with each other, but also we're like denying our feelings because we're going to betray each other in the end and we're still actually enemies. And like the whole thing of Taliesin being like, I don't know, I can't ever forgive him because of what he did during the war and like whatever. And I'm like, okay, we did that in Hurricane Wars. Like, you were mad in Hurricane Wars because of everything he did in the war. And you were like, I can't love him because of that. And then I kind of thought we were getting past it. And then in Monsoon Rising, it was like, no, actually, we're not past it at all. Like, we're still mad about it. And we're back to basically just enemies now that occasionally like sleep together. You know, and I was like, okay, I feel like the romance here has been a little undercut. Everything else in Monsoon Rising, like, I loved. Okay, I loved a lot of the stuff in Monsoon Rising. It was just like the romance, I feel like, was just undercut a little bit. It was a little disappointing. But anyways, in true book girly fashion, after finishing my physical TBR, I naturally immediately went to Barnes & Noble and bought more books because why the hell not? I also bought a new book on my Kindle. So they're not all physical. I bought Ava Reed's Immortata. Pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. I don't actually know though. Anyways, so I bought Ava Reed's new book, Immortata. Okay, on my Kindle, which I'm really excited to read. I'm a huge Ava Reed fan. I love pretty much anything she writes. I really adore her writing style and her world building, and just like, I adore her. Okay, and then I read Fear of the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling a couple months ago. I got it at the library. Obsessed with that book. Amazing. It is Fourth Wing, but better. Okay, if you read Fourth Wing and you were like, oh, Fourth Wing's amazing, but then you didn't like the rest of the series, read Fear the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling. Okay, it's better. I promise you. It's amazing. So I got the second book in the series, Wrath of the Dragons, and that's what I'm reading right now. And I'm chewing through this book. Okay, it's a thick book. It's like a Brandon Sanderson level, like a thick book. I'm only like halfway through it right now, and it's like, I do not feel like this book has the second book curse. Like, the second book curse where it's usually like sucks, TBH, like a lot of second books in series, especially like trilogies, are garbage. I'm looking at you, Iron Flame. But this book, I don't feel like is suffering from that curse at all. I honestly feel like it is so good. And I absolutely recommend it. If you're looking for a dragon book and you want like a shadow daddy that's better than Xaden, a little bit more in line with like Reese from ACOTAR, go read Fear the Flames. Okay, just go. It's so good. Anyway, so I got that. I also got V.E. Schwab's, what's it called? Oh, A Darker Shade of Magic. I've heard a lot of really good things about that series. So I got the first book for that. And then I also got, this other book by Sydney Shields called An Arcane Study of Stars that I've heard really good things about as well. So updates to follow on those two books. But what we're actually, now that I'm done yapping about books, let's get to what we're doing today, okay? Because we're not staying here in the apartment and drafting today. No, no, no. I've come up with what I believe is a brilliant idea, okay? I don't know if anyone else has done this. So if anyone else has done this, please let me know, because I'm pretty sure this is my own beautiful brainchild. I feel like it would be a really fun creative writing exercise to go to the art museum, okay, and then pick out paintings and write short stories about those paintings. But like, you can't like read the like little plaque next to it that's like, oh, this is a painting of, I don't know, this like one battle. And there's like, like normally like it tells you like what the painting is, and then there's like a little blurb about it from like the artist and like why they painted it or whatever. Like, you can't read any of that. You just have to like pick a painting, and then you sit, and then you have to write a short story using the painting. So I went and I like tested this last week, and I want to go back today and do it again because I really enjoyed it. But I picked this one painting that was like a raging stormy sea, right? And then you write a whole short story as if like that's the setting. So the painting is the setting, and then you write a story in that setting. Or if it's a painting of like a person, like a portrait, that person, that portrait is your like main character, and you have to write like a short story about what's going on in the painting, and just like invent this whole thing about it. And I think it's a really fun creative writing challenge, and just like a little way to just like get into writing, but also go to the art museum and do some fun stuff there. So we're gonna go do that today. It's gonna be a cute little out of the apartment vlog. We'll go to the art museum, we'll do some writing at the art museum, and that's really honestly about it. That's everything. So let's go make some breakfast, and then we'll get dressed and we'll go to the museum. Let's go. Breakfast and a show. Okay, so we ate breakfast, we showered. I'm gonna do my makeup before we go, but I wanted to chat while I do about kind of where I think this direction of book 2 is going, okay? Ooh, mess. So in book 1, basically what we're getting is like the introduction to the world. We're getting like Kaida being, bonded in her Grim Reaper team and meeting all of her friends. Pretty much that kind of stuff for like Act 1 of book 1, okay? And then Act 2 is, okay, she's bonded. Then that's when like all of these like secrets from her past a little bit, her parents' past. Hold on. There it is, concealer. Her past, her parents' past, are all starting to like come out. And the thing with that is she finds out like the guy she's bonded to like knows all about it, and like whatever. She starts like exploring all of this stuff, blah blah blah. And throughout all of this, the guy she's bonded to, Talon, and her start falling in love. Because of course it's a fantasy romance. Why would they not? But in book 2, we're kind of already bonded. We have our Grim Reaper team, and we know about all of this stuff, this like evil organization in the world that's like trying to do all this like bad stuff or whatever. And Kaida and her team are like under this, think of it almost like a gag order. Okay, oops, that's not what I wanted. To not like say anything, not reveal anything. Okay, the headmaster of their school, the Archangel Azrael, is like, you can't tell anybody about this. We don't want to like scare anyone unnecessarily. And also, you're a first year. You're like 20 years old. What in the world are you going to do? Like, we've been fighting against this like crime group for like generations. You just need to focus on your studies. Like, you just need to focus on graduating. And then after you graduate, then we can talk about you joining like the fight and the front lines and like whatever, right? Well, obviously in book 2, I want the team to be like angry almost about this like gag order, they're like, we're being silenced, we're being our First Amendment rights are being taken away, like freedom of speech, whatever, right? And so, but also with that, I don't want them to be like, but also I don't want them to be angry in the way that like it makes it not fun, like I was literally just talking about, in Monsoon Rising, how like book 2s have this thing where like the main character just gets so like angry and downtrodden because of how the first book ends. At the second book, you just spend the whole time and you're like, they're mad about everything, like the Iron Flame curse, and they're just like mad. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I'm trying to figure out a way to do in book 2 a way that we can kind of be angry and we can be, like, oh, we're being oppressed, our freedom of speech is being taken away, and like whatever. And also still have this like found family friendship vibe that we've built out in book 1. But then also, because the way that I want to go with book 3 is book 2 is not even like, think of them as like if all 3 books were like one book actually, and book 1 is act 1, book 2 is act 2, and then book 3 is act 3. So then I want book 2 to kind of be like this like act 2, this like catalyst where everything's kind of happening, and we're starting to get into like the nitty gritties of, oh wow, there's all this like bad stuff happening, what are we going to do about it, blah 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 blah, right? Like each book is like a mini book inside like one big book. I hope that makes sense. I don't know. Okay, pause while I go do my eyeliner because I can't do it while I talk. Okay, eyeliner's done. We're back. So what I'm kind of thinking, like I said, is like I want it to be like a big book. All 3 books are like one big book, and then each like individual book in the trilogy is like a mini book almost. So that it's like almost like one it spans like their 3 years at Erebus, the university, but it's also like one continual story, if that makes sense. Like that's kind of my vision. And in, book two, we're gonna do a lot of like there's gonna be a lot of like it's gonna get darker, like how like in the intros to the Harry Potter movies, like each like Harry Potter and the like whatever gets like darker and like more rusted as like the movies go on. I kind of want each book to get a little darker and like depressing almost. Like there's more like betrayals and like a little less like mystery and intrigue, but a little more of that like gothic, like dark fantasy kind of thing as we go. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Um, Especially since like this whole like concept and like world is around like death and grim reapers and sins and like all of this stuff, whatever. I feel like it just makes sense for it to just get dark as we go on, you know? Um, Hold on. I gotta do my mascara on the other eye. Okay, so anyways, that's kind of my vision for sorry. Anyways, that's kind of my vision for book two, and then like a little bit about book three, the actual like plot of any of these. Where is my oh, there it is. Okay. That was crazy. Anyways, the actual plot of these three books, while I know what it is and what's gonna happen, you're hilarious if you think I'm gonna tell you. Like, love you, okay, but I'm not telling you the plot. You have to wait till it comes out. And then you can read it and you can find out. You're gonna be like, oh my god, she's so amazing, she's brilliant. It's gonna be incredible. Okay, let me finish my eyebrows really quick, and then we will head to the train. Let's go. This is the final look. Okay, we're in red little Mary Jane shoes. We got our art dress on. This is not like an actual like painting. I just feel like it is. And since we're going to the art museum, we have to wear art. Okay, we got our bag. We got a book in here, our journal, pen, whole 9 yards, and we're ready to go.
Look at all the hydrangeas. They're blooming. Okay, so we just left the art museum, and I'm gonna go get back on the train and head back to the apartment for some lunch and drafting.